no longer the world's most livable city. Melbourne does have a new crown, and unwanted one, sadly, has become Australia's youth homelessness capital, with more than 15,000 youngsters across the city reaching out for assistance for homelessness services in the 2023 financial year. This is according to a new report from Homelessness Australia. The Chief Executive, Kate Colvin, is warning that the housing crisis is so deep in Melbourne that even low and middle income earners are finding it very difficult to find an affordable rental property. That is true. And the policies of the state government that are driving investors out of the market and shrinking the number of rental properties, that's driving up rents. If you're going to pump up land tax and make it unattractive for mum and dad investors, they're going to put their money elsewhere.
Yeah, look, I think the takeaway from that is the fact that low and middle income earners are actually struggling to afford to pay rent or to find anywhere to rent. There's not enough housing. The homeless services are talking about the fact that they are overwhelmed. They can't actually help all the people, the huge numbers of people who need help, who are asking for help. It really doesn't make Melbourne look good at the moment, does it really? We've got all these things going on. Everything's going poorly. We've got the biggest debt. We've got potholes all over Victoria because we can't afford to fill them. And you got issues like
most businesses going bust or going into state. You look at so many of the stats and the indicators of how we're doing, and Victoria, Melbourne is struggling. And as a once very proud Melburnian, it doesn't fill me with joy to say that. And I hold not just the Labor government, but the Liberal opposition responsible, because if they were even remotely electable, Labor would be better, and perhaps they would have been chucked out. But really, the Victorian people have no choice.
Yes. Oh, you look at the big build, you look at all the CFMEU stuff that's come out in the last few weeks, you're talking about potentially hundreds of millions of dollars that should not have, has gone to places that it wasn't intended for.
Projects billions over budget, years late. Now, let's talk about the UN announcing that 9 employees of UNRWA, the Agency for Palestinian Refugees, may have been involved in the October 7 attacks. Opposition leader Peter Dutton has called on the Albanese government to reconsider its funding of UNRWA. He said, "We were given assurances up front that nobody was involved in the October 7 atrocities, and this is a complete breach of faith. I think people are rightly angry because we're talking about taxpayer dollars here." Patrick, should funding be suspended, or at the very least a review be completed into where the money is going and who exactly is involved in this organisation? Because we've been talking about UNRWA on this network for years and its links with Hamas.
Yes, well, I think Peter Dutton is right onto something here. I mean, this is our money. We need to know what it's going towards. You've got deep Hamas sympathies within this UN agency. And you're talking about people here accused not of waving a flag at a protest or saying the wrong thing. They've been accused of being part of a massacre of 1,300 innocent people on behalf of a terrorist organisation that wants to obliterate a democracy in Israel. I mean, it's not surprising what's come out in the detail today, but it is shocking. It really is shocking. I can't imagine any other context where that could be, tolerated, that sort of infiltration.
And UN Watch has done great work in uncovering some of these links. And we've really seen a different approach from Peter Dutton to this entire issue than from Anthony Albanese. It's one of the things that really separates them. Labor seem to be conflicted with the number of seats where they've got significant Muslim populations, and they've been really quite permissive of some of the anti-Israel sentiment we've seen in the community, whilst Peter Dutton has had moral clarity on this issue. He has been very strong pretty much from day one.
I think the word I read yesterday, the word to describe Albanese's approach to it is timid, really. And in a time when we actually needed strong leadership and we need somebody to stand up and say, this is who we are, this is what we believe in. That didn't happen after October 7. Belatedly, he's made some moves on the anti-Semitic thing, but you're talking about June the following year, you're talking about 8 months after it all began, whereas Dutton, as you point out, has been very clear and very unequivocal in saying this is right and this is wrong. And I think that resonates.
Absolutely, and I think it takes courage too, because they'd be looking at those seats that Labor hold, and astute minds within the coalition know that's their future. They can't rely on these blue ribbon teal seats now. That's no longer their home ground. It is the outer suburbs, it is regional areas. So when you take that position, you do risk alienating segments of that population, but you do it because it's the right thing to do. Now, this next story is going to be very difficult for Patrick indeed. There may even be tears. Just brace yourself, because after 15 years with the Tigers, Richmond champion Dustin Martin is retiring from football. He addressed his teammates today and confirmed that after 302 games, his retirement will take effect immediately, Patrick. Immediately. Yes. You can't even say goodbye. Dusty has said that it's hard to put into words what the Richmond Football Club means to me. I love this place so much. How are you coping? Will we find you in the fetal position later tonight?
It is a difficult day, I'll give you that. Against that, he's one of the great players of a generation. He is one of those players. There are very few who come along. I think of Wayne Carey or Gary Ablett Sr., who actually individually and personally changed the game during that era. And you're talking about Dusty, who won 3 Norm Smith medals. No other player has done that. He was the face of the resurgence of a wonderful club in Richmond that was in the doldrums for 37 years before that.
That's right. You guys did not have a premiership for 37 years, and here comes along Dusty, and now we had 3 in
3 and 4 years.
3 and 4 years.
I could watch
and your supporters are now insufferable. So
like Collingwood or Carlton supporters. Yeah.
Patrick Carlyon, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks, Rita.